There's amazing ch-ching by I'm Still Eating, Chairlift, and before that, Young Legends by Sleigh Bells. Great tracks, two of my favorite tracks by two of my favorite people who are here, Caroline and Alexis.
We should call this the granola bar sessions.
Yeah.
Claire's eating her granola bar.
Sure. I mean,
breakfast with Grimes.
And it's breakfast with Grimes. I like that. Yeah.
But it's funny that
but
you
I hate
mentioned...
breakfast.
You hate breakfast?
I mean, it's actually afternoon, so it's not technically breakfast.
Snacks? Treats with Grimes?
Snacks.
Ooh, I like treats with Grimes.
Treats with
that
Grimes.
sounds like music, too.
There you go. It's funny that you mentioned, like, the whole Ramones as a pop band, but also as a punk band, because one of the running arguments in my house between my mom and my fiance, who have known each other for a very long time, is that my mom calls the Clash a pop band.
Clash are pop band for sure.
And Tyler is like, no, they're a punk band. You're nuts. So it's pretty interesting, like how pop and punk or pop and heavier music can intersect in a way that like certain people will just hear pop, certain people will hear punk. But melodically, I mean, the Clash are, it's.
I mean, I think
very pop.
I think more the issue the thing that I have perceived is that like I think like pop is more just a reference to like hooks, so like any song could be a pop song. Like you hear song, like I think any genre of music can be like a pop song.
I think something has to repeat. For me, that's the definition. If there's no parts that repeat, I guess it's harder to call it a pop song.
Yeah, but like a repetitive chorus, like to the point where I don't know, some whatever, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I also think, especially when you're discussing genres and when you're talking about, say, like punk versus pop. I mean, pop still has this sort of like derogatory persona, or not necessarily derogatory, but people perceive it as being less than, or in a way an insult. And that's something that I am very opposed to. Like, I'm never ashamed of a great pop song. I mean, an incredible pop song is probably one of the hardest things to write, to record, to do well.
I feel like
and
that
so
onus
it's not an
is
insult.
lifted, though.
It's changing, for sure. Yeah. I think you are a great example of that. Like, I think the most recent Chairlift music, like, I would describe it as incredible pop music. And would you? Like, or how do you?
I mean, I just feel like pop music is always pulling from other things.
Yeah.
And always has been. So it's sort of like, it's changing shape, but it's more of like it's like intensity and simplicity and repetition. As long as you have that, you can call it pop. I feel like when people are insulting things and calling it pop, they're mean it's commercial.
Absolutely.
Which I think is a different idea altogether.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Commercial and derivative. I think a lot of people associate pop music, that it's just kind of recycled as opposed to being something that's innovative.
But they're also missing out, too.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I mean, I think it's just one of these things where there's like numerous words being thrust under one umbrella term that actually like doesn't, there's just not. I mean, I guess as we were just saying, like it seems like everyone has a very different definition of what that word even means. So it's like, it's just really hard to even discuss it because two people can be discussing it and not be on the same page at all.
Yeah.
I wish Joe Strummer was around because this would be a good conversation to have with him. Be very curious to get his opinion.
I wonder how much of the music on today's playlist he'd actually like.
Hey, this is Grimes, and everything I'm on SiriusXMU. We're doing a takeover because my record's out today, and these are a bunch of songs that me and Caroline and Alexis chose to play. I don't know about you guys, but I think, I'm definitely super attacked all the time for making what people consider pop music. And I'm like, what the fuck? I made this by myself in my bedroom.
Do you think it's because when you first started out, you were more in the realm of ambient experimental music? Do you think it's because of the narrative of your career that people are?
I think in part, but it's definitely, we even back in the day, when I first started making music, at all, people were, super sellout. When I'd never, ever even been written about on a website. It's kind of followed me my entire career.
Do you think there's anything particularly Canadian about that mindset too, like sell out? Because I lived in Montreal for a couple months, and I did notice there it's not so much like an animosity towards pop music, but there's a real sense of underdog power or gunning for the little guy.
I think so. I'm not even. Yeah, I mean, I've a lot more prevalent in Montreal than other places, I think. It's hard to say. I mean, part of it is, I left the small indie label I was on. So I think that might play more into it more than other things.
Do you think people care about what label an artist is on now?
I think it's relevant, for sure.
I think it's relevant to a certain demographic of listeners.
I think it's relevant.
Yeah.
When people on major labels come, and take your shit, it feels really bad and market it with, 10 10 times the budget, it's like a really bad feeling.
Yeah.
So I think it's relevant in that regard.
Absolutely.
But also not all
I think-
major label
I think
artists have
fans
budgets.
I think, yeah.
So it's
absolutely.
like a, you know.
Yeah. I when we're making music, sleigh bells, it's definitely a conversation that we often have because I find that we've been working on a lot of new music and there's constantly that question of are people going to perceive this as being too pop and what does that mean? And often when Derek and I are writing and we're loving something, it's unfortunate that we kind of have to check ourselves with that, and not that it impacts our decisions. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that like it's unfortunate that it exists.
It's
as
like
like
a
a
mental
dialogue.
widget.
Yeah, just like are people gonna think this is too pop? Whatever the can I curse? Yeah, whatever the fuck that means.
I mean, I think a lot of it to do though, it's like people are like, oh, I can hear the lyrics now, and it's like that's not a valid criticism. Like wanting me to be silent and unintelligible is not a valid.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of people, it's like, especially for bands like us that like actually did just start making like super lo-fi music, like wanting to improve your craft is not a bad thing.
Absolutely.
And I think when people
absolutely.
people hear that and they're like, oh, it sounds more expensive, and it's like, no, we're just better at our jobs.
Right.
And it's
Right.
like and we can't help it. Like when you're touring, like you get better at playing music.
Yeah.
And also, like, I think about this all the time. Like, do you remember when the Waves bundle leaked, like 5 years ago, and everyone could download the Waves bundle?
No.
So, for those listeners who aren't music nerds, the Waves bundle was a set of really top-notch plugins that were like
Waves plugins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That all.
Oh yeah, no, everyone has that.
Everyone has it. And I feel like when like the coffee table book is written about music in the 2000s,
Yeah.
the leaking of the Waves bundle is a crucial moment because suddenly all these, as long as you have a MacBook,
You had access
Yeah.
you
to
can produce
incredible
stuff that
sounds.
sounds like,
Those reverbs and
like top 10
compressors are like
music.
gorgeous. Yeah.
and that changed. I think that was when lo-fi started to become a less interesting idea because
Yeah.
you can do stuff that's really HD.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think lo-fi is. I think it's limiting, right? I mean,
Well, very literally,
you know, I mean, a lot of our first demos were us, shouting into internal microphones, and then when we discovered the beauty of, a Telefunken mic or the sounds that you can get, I mean, why wouldn't you take advantage of those incredible, pieces of gear, and also the great mix engineers and the great mastering engineers, and I mean, as you get resources and you have access to that, why not exploit that world? I think the bottom line is that you can have a pop song that's incredibly interesting and unique and engaging, and I think that's the important thing. Not something that's derivative, not something that feels like it was just made by a major label machine because it's trendy.
But that's actually something I wanted to ask you about too, because I feel like so much of it comes down to process, and like I think especially in like a world where so much of people's interactions with each other is happening online and through avatars and stuff, like sometimes isolation can be really valuable.
Yeah.
And even for example, you're talking about working with mixing and mastering people, and when you have that at your hands, why would you not work with it? I myself made a decision not to do that
to do it. Okay.
on a
With
solo
the
record
Ramona?
that I did last year,
Yeah.
simply because I wanted my process to be completely within my own hands. And Claire, I want to ask you a little bit about your process working on this record, because I know you produced and engineered everything yourself. Was that a decision that was like conceptual, that you really wanted it to be about solitude, or is that just the only way you can stay sane and work?
I think it's just kind of. It's not even about sane or conceptual. It's just how I work, and it's so hard. People are always like, "But why do you?" And it's just like, no, it's just how I always did it. And it's like I am definitely not as good when I'm writing with other people. I'm like, because you don't want to try being like, "Is this weird? Hey, yeah, like is this gonna be weird?" Like, you know what I mean? It's like people are sitting there
into a pirate all of a sudden.
like, but like, I think it's like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say, but. Although this is the first record I ever got mixed or really properly mastered, so that was weird and kind of amazing and frustrating at the same time. All right, now gonna play something old called Rosa, which is actually this is one of the first songs I ever made. So
Really?
yeah.
Tell us about that.
I just made it for my friend. Like, we had this, like, awesome night, but, like, me and just my girlfriends and everyone got really wasted and, like, hung out naked all night. And then the next, everyone was like, what a great night. And then my friend Rosa sent everyone this email that was like, I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm so sorry that I was such a disaster last night. And everyone was like, what? You were so fun last night. So I just wrote her a song as, like, you're cool.
Okay.
To be nice.
An affirmation of her.
It was just
cool
like
nakedness.
It was just a nice, like, it was like a present. I did it before I thought about putting songs on records or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Hey, this is Alexis from Sleigh Bells, and I'm really grateful to be here today with two incredible friends. Carolyn and Grimes is taking over SiriusXMU today because her record is out, and we're playing tracks from her record, so you definitely want to listen. And we're also playing great songs that we all love, and we'll be talking about them and eating lots of treats. me ask you, just because I think we're all kind of, I don't know. I mean, not that we're in similar positions in our careers, but have put out a body of work at this point that we can look back and reflect on and see it in the context of where we were at. And so how have you kind of, something that I've been thinking a lot about is confidence, like just feeling more confident in my craft and thinking also about time, right? As years pass, we just get better and better and better and all kind of being at similar ages. Like, how are you feeling as far as your confidence with what you do as a musician, with who you are as a woman, like starting to present yourself and sort of give away your baby to the press and to your fans? Yeah. Is it an incredibly anxiety-producing experience? So, like, how are you feeling? Because you seem really fucking confident, which I love.
It's fun. I mean, I think that's another thing when people, like, I think, you know, for all of us as we get more kind of, like, you've been dancing more and, like, actually you've both been, like, dancing. Like, I think we've all kind of been more into, like, performing and stuff. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, that's pop. And it's like, no, that's just not, like, being totally fucking terrified. Right. You know? And I think that's an interesting, you know, it's like a female being, like, confident or, like, chilling. It's like people associate that with like selling out, and I think that's like weird, like to want women to be like shy and like not be performing and not be like, you know, playing with their appearance and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think our generation is definitely sort of like a double-edged sword there, because I do think there's like, you know, you were saying the industry wanting women to be shy, but I mean the Disney trajectory is also like kind of stressful. Yeah, and I feel like your average female performer now is like hyper confident, like steroids confident, like impossible confident. So I almost feel like what I have to offer is actually a sort of vulnerability, which isn't to say failure or like, you know, I don't know, you come off as hyper insecurity, but like almost as a sort of honesty, and like that as being like, hey, like maybe you feel this too, maybe we can connect because we both feel this, or that they can be like simultaneous. Yeah, I feel like you're like a really confident performer, but you're also like a really like a vulnerable performer. Well, you have to put yourself in the position even to be like on a pedestal to even say that. Right. But I heard this Frank Sinatra quote on the radio like a month ago, and I think about it like 5 times a day. But he said something like, the big secret is to not be scared of anything. Right. It's interesting because Carolyn, when I watch you, and especially the new video for ch-ching, I feel that it's completely uninhibited. And that's what I love about it. Like, it feels very much like you. And the same thing with Flesh Without Blood. Like, when I watched that, I was just smiling because I was like, this is Claire. Like, this is just a visual embodiment of Claire. And obviously, you know, you're playing characters. So I'm not necessarily saying that, like, when I see a bloody angel when I see you. But, like, it just... playing characters. Right, yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? I don't think that's disingenuous. I think, like, being whatever, like you were saying, kind of... I mean, not to bring up Beyonce because she's ubiquitous, but she's a huge inspiration. Just in, like... But I just think, like, and her ability to sort of flex all those different muscles and those different personas is something that all artists should be able to do, whether they're indie artists or pop artists or... But I mean, like the Beatles and like who's that band with all them like Kiss and you know, it's not like it didn't exist before. Yeah, no, absolutely, you know, absolutely. I think it's But that also kind of goes back to like the whole idea of like selling out. Like if you are doing something that was different than that initial thing that people got excited about, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. I guess maybe what people think is that you're kind of at that point it's not just music anymore. Right. Like, you know, like maybe it never was. Huh? Maybe it never was. Yeah. Well, I mean, music is inherently tied to like dancing and stuff. So I think when people are like dancing and costumes, it's like, well, it's a show. Right. It's tied to the body. Yeah. Hey, this is Grimes. I'm here at SiriusXMU with Caroline from Chairlift and Alexis from Sleigh Bells. This is an interesting question, but how much, because I noticed it with the Sleigh Bells fan base, I noticed that in the beginning when people were still kind of deciding what they thought about our band, I think just the nature of the people who were reading about our band as a result of like blogs was a lot of like white males, you know, and they would come to our shows like arms crossed, and nothing against that, but I noticed that as more young women started coming to our shows, like it got age 12 to 30, like the energy totally changed and that judgment totally changed. Like better for worse, I feel like a lot of bands, I wouldn't say all of them, but a lot of bands, especially now, have to go through this channel of like, you know, quote unquote tastemakers to get your stuff out. And these people are so oversaturated with work and so hypercritical and so self-aware that it just sets this this really grim tone that everyone has to break through. Like I jokingly call it the indie ghetto sometimes. You have to like get out of the indie ghetto.
Yeah.
And I guess it's not even indie anymore because like Pitchfork's also an ad agency now. But I mean, I think if you can find a way around that, like, you know, like you were saying, play all ages shows,
Right.
Get people engaged.
But even the stuff people criticize, like doing fashion stuff, like that gets you straight to like a teen female audience who are actually like open to it.
But not just a teen female audience, even a fashion audience are sometimes more excited about music than music critics are.
Yeah. Right. I mean, like people on shoots, they're always like, oh, I love Twigs, I love this. And I'm like, great, I'm glad.
I live for this.
Yeah.
It's giving me life. Yes, thank you. As an artist, that's all you want to hear, is that your music is giving someone life.
You have a Twig song on this playlist, right?
Yes. I think I have like more than one.
Where is Twigs? Can she come in the studio? Can she give us a dance lesson right now in studio?
Hey, this is Grimes. I'm on SiriusXMU all day, and we're gonna now play. Wow, my grammar's everywhere. FKA Twigs in time.
You got a goddamn nerve.
Oh, is it nerve? I thought it was love with an like love. We just listened to Pink Cadillac by Springsteen. This is Grimes. I'm at Sirius.
Taking over the world.
Yeah,
with treats.
Yeah, it's Radio XMU. Sorry, I really need to improve at this. With Alexis from Sleigh Bells and Caroline from Chairlift, and we're doing a radio show.
Can we go on a Springsteen tangent for just a
Yeah,
section?
I'd love to go on a Springsteen tangent.
Okay, so I have a question. So, what record is Pink Cadillac off of?
No, because he wrote it when he was young, and then he like played it live and never recorded, and then he recorded it way later.
Okay, so there's like the story about Dancing in the Dark coming out, right? As his like big breakthrough single. Is this correct? Can I get back up on this?
I'm not an authority.
I don't know.
Okay. But this idea of like, okay, so you had Springsteen working on music like Greetings from Asbury Park, which is a phenomenal record. It's a fucking weird record. And then you kind of have this transition into like more, you know, Born in the USA, Dancing in the Dark, like, you know, more straight up pop songs, radio friendly songs. So as you guys as artists, I know that the radio conversation is sort of, and XMU is different. You guys are different because you guys play anything and it's great. But like, how much do you think about using radio as a tool to like break into new audiences? And I know that the radio of Springsteen's day was different, and I think probably more liberating in a way than it is now. But obviously, Dancing in the Dark and Born in the USA brought him to a whole new audience, even though like loyal Springsteen's fan will be like, those songs suck and stuff. So just what are your thoughts? Like, now that you're both putting out records, how are you dealing with radio?
I mean, I'm on an indie label, so radio is not a option. Except for this lovely radio that actually cares about art.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not on an indie label. I've been with Columbia. This will be our third record with Columbia now, but radio has still never really been a thing for us. And I feel like it's because the selection of songs that are played on mainstream radio these days are smaller than ever.
Yeah,
but it sort of makes sense in a way because people's listening habits are so scattered with the internet that people have so many more choices now. So I feel like people get a sort of sense of comfort out of knowing what they're going to get when they put on the radio. And being a New Yorker,
I get a sense of deep dread.
Yeah.
I'm just like, not again. Like, I love this song, but not again.
You know, when I first moved to New York, that was my feeling because, like, as I'm sure other New Yorkers listening to this will agree with, you cannot get away from the songs that are on the radio.
Yeah.
The way you can when you're living in LA, or you can when you're living in any other part of the US, really, because you sort of are like always in your own environment. But in New York, every time you walk into a bodega, every time you get into a cab, every time you're even walking down the street, you hear the same Taylor Swift song, you hear the same, like, you know, the same weekend song. Exactly. And I used to sort of be resentful of that and feel like my brain was being invaded by something. And lately, I've been realizing that it's almost like time capsules. Like, hearing the same song so often without meaning to permanently makes that song into like a mental time capsule for me that brings back that year or that season.
Sure.
And lately, especially like, I actually was just sort of forced to sign up for Spotify, which I've been avoiding, and I finally just got it. But ever since I got it last week, I've been listening to pretty much only charts, and it's because I've been too lazy to actually make my own playlists on it. So I have like all my new age fusion music on my iPod, and then I listen to like, you know, the new Ellie Goulding single.
Right.
And it's interesting, like listening to it and knowing that I'm like planting a time capsule for this fall.
Hey, this is Grimes here on SiriusXMU with my friends Caroline and Alexis, and we're talking.
Going back to our relationship with radio and our music, I'm sort of mystified by how good things can sound on tiny little bodega speakers sometimes. Like, you know, I'll hear a Taylor Swift song on like the YouTube video, and it sounds good, but I'm never as impressed as when I hear it coming out of like Z100 compression through a tiny little speaker.
It's like that nice Patsy Cline effect, though. It sounds like old school.
It's amazing. And so I do think about that sometimes as almost a sonic inspiration.
Absolutely.
Like,
Derek and I have actually mixed. We've mixed and thought to ourselves and said that exact thing. How would this sound in the bodega? How would it sound in the bodega? Like, will you be able to hear this hi-hat? Like, will this harmony come through? Will you get any low end?
Stations compress it on top of what you do. They squash it.
To volume, bring everything to the same volume.
Yeah. Now, have you ladies ever felt the pressure to write for the radio or to write a song that has the possibility or the capability to cross over as a radio hit?
No, because I think no one on my team would ever that's not even ever been an option.
Okay.
Have you?
Yeah.
No. I mean, I think there was a time going into this record where it was like, oh, is that, you know, kind of like you're thinking about it. You're like, what's the ceiling for the band, right? I think we've kind of all thought about like, what's our ceiling? Like, how is there a ceiling? And in an ideal world, I'd be like, no, like I want everybody to hear this music because I don't believe in music being like exclusive.
I mean, I would be stoked if Sleigh Bells was on the radio.
Right.
I would be stoked.
So I've thought about that, but then
in some other forms.
Yep.
Then I realized like I mean just like the politics involved and it became this like I was like, yeah, no, that's not a possibility. And also the idea of tailoring your creative process in any way to like what the expectations would be for the radio is obviously awful. So yeah.
But I'm wondering, do you guys, because something I've noticed with me is that every time I put out music, people are like Grimes is just catering to the radio now, which I find very interesting because that's that would never even be a possibility. Like, is that something you guys experience, or is that kind of
Never experienced that.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
I think we've definitely gotten so it goes back to the pop conversation. I think there was some criticism of our last record that was we were pandering to sort of a certain audience and that audience was probably more of a demographic that engaged with the radio. But
it's like a weird lo-fi record.
That record sounds good and hot on speakers, though.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was mixed by Andrew Dawson. He's badass. He did a great job. But,
I think with us it's a bit of a different situation because the way that everyone found out about chairlift was in an iPod commercial in 2008. So we sort of got that mainstream backlash out of the way first, and then people got to know us from that point, and then so we haven't actually been on the receiving end of people accusing us of being any one thing or the other, and I've actually been like kind of grateful how people have been sort of following us as we change sounds, even within records. Songs sound like different projects altogether.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Ramona Lisa record was really like super different, but like it's probably my favorite thing that you've done. Like,
I think I learned more from that than any other project. I'll say that for sure.
I loved the aesthetic world that you created for that.
Thank you.
It was like kind of that same thing. It just felt like you were entering into a different universe.
So just to fill listeners in, that was a project that was all made on a laptop, sort of like classical pastoral vocal music with really like
future pastoral
future as Grimes dubs it, future pastoral music. But the live show was myself and two dancers all dancing in unison, really kind of like hieroglyphic, very flat choreography, and it was a very like limited project. Had a start date and an end date, and it doesn't exist anymore.
Cool. Hey, it's Grimes. This is SiriusXMU. I'm playing whatever I want, and my friends are here. They're also making me play Grimes, though, because I would not do this of my own volition.
Do it. But actually, it's sort of interesting because or at least I haven't heard this record yet, so I'm actually on the same side.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, we haven't heard it.
So we're with the listeners here. We're all on the same page with the audience here, and wanted to ask you about the title.
Yes.
What is kill v maim? I'm assuming that means kill versus maim.
No.
Can we act it out in the studio right now? What that would mean? Kill.
No, because it's a character. It's a character.
Okay.
Oh, okay. See, we need this explanation.
So tell us about and if you don't want to, you don't have to. But like, tell us about Screechy Bat and like the different characters, because I love that love what you've done, and I love listening to a record kind of through that lens of imagining you like becoming these other characters. So no, I haven't, but I read.
Yeah, it's in the video.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Screechy Bat is the new Grimes because Grimes is dead. I killed her in the video, so Grimes.
Okay.
That's Grimes, and we all fucked her up.
Okay.
And
so the last, when you see her going into the pool.
Yeah, she's dead.
That's her death. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't written as Grimes in like 2 years probably.
Okay.
In my head.
Okay.
It's obviously publicly Grimes because that's just way too complicated for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But so Screechy
Prince
Bat.
did it. You could.
Yeah. I gotta just say this is paperwork. But I like for me like Screechy Bat's the show or whatever.
Okay.
Kill V Maim is like the one in the suit, and that's like, you know, the whatever vampire Italian kind of like mobster like Al Pacino. Yeah. And I don't know. I was just thinking about like the name. It's just like, you know, when you're watching old mob movies, it's like, are you just gonna like, or even just like Looper, like that scene in Looper where like they're torturing that guy from the past, and his arms and his legs and his face are all just coming off. It's like, is it better to just like kill someone at that point? I don't know. I was really fucking pissed off when I made this song. It's like a rage happy song.
Yeah. What films were inspiration for Kill V Maim? You mentioned like old mob flicks.
Yeah, like Lego Looper and like Godfather 2, kind of.
I was walking here, literally no joke. I was walking here and I was like running through the Diamond District, which is a very strange place.
Ooh, Diamond District.
Surreal.
It's very strange.
Whoa, I want to go there.
Yeah, it's
don't
right
really.
there. It's just like, it feels like a very like old school like 1970s New York to me. Like that's what I imagine. And somebody was like, "Hey, Corleone." So I was like, "Really? What? Is that someone's actual name, or is that just a Godfather reference?" So that's funny.
Cool.
All right, so let's hear this track. This is Grimes, Kill V Maim on Sirius.
Hello, this is Grimes. I'm in the studio at SiriusXMU with Caroline and Alexis with Caroline from Chairlift and Alexis from Sleigh Bells. Instead of saying your names and saying your bands after in a confusing manner, that's who I'm with here at the radios.
The radios.
So that was Lana Del Rey, Art Deco, which is my favorite song of her new record, Honeymoon, and I just think it's.
Tell us about that tour.
Oh, it was sick. She's really cool. But I was gonna say, okay, with Art Deco though, if you go on YouTube and you get footage of Earth from space and you listen to that song while you watch that, it's just really trippy, and I would recommend doing that.
Okay.
To anyone. Because then you'll have like an existential crisis for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like the most hardcore thing ever.
It's a really hardcore thing to do. I did it once, and I sort of regret it, and also consider it one of the greatest moments of my life.
Do you have one particular outlet you go to for Earth footage? Is it like the NASA site, or is it like a YouTube video?
Just go on YouTube and write Earth from space.
Okay.
But anyway.
All right. So should we talk about Patsy Cline?
I'd love to talk about Patsy Cline.
Have you ever tried to sing crazy?
It's really hard. No, it's definitely like two. How many octaves is that? Like 2, 3 octaves?
It goes so low and then so high. It's really I used to sing in wedding bands when I was in college. And yeah, it was. I mean, it was actually incredible.
That's a music video right there.
Yeah, no, that is
like TBT.
Well, I worked for this really great company, and it would be like the average gig was like 10 to 14 musicians, so full horn sections. I mean, phenomenal. The woman that I sang with, she had done backing vocals for Billy Joel for many, many years. I mean, the caliber of musicians was incredible, and not like mostly session guys. But yeah, so on occasion I would have to sing Patsy Cline, and I just remember being
you in songwriting.
Yeah.
It did. It was phenomenal. And talk about like, you know, starting off. We would start off with like a jazz standard section, so you'd be singing, you know,
Cool.
Ella Fitzgerald,
Wow.
and then you would be going into like, you know, Earth, Wind and Fire, and then you'd be going into like Bad Girls, and then you'd be going into whatever like the hit of the day was, some Christina Aguilera song. So it was incredibly diverse, and it really made you like love all genres.
I know, that's like.
But I do remember like Patsy Cline, you know, just thinking about that range and just thinking about
Kind of
like,
dark shit to play at a wedding.
Yeah. Well, okay, so
Really?
funny story about that. Since You've Been Gone, I think, right, that Kelly Clarkson song? Oh no, was it Since You've Been Gone? She's got no, what's her other song?
Oh, I know.
It's pretty dark. It's a ballad and it's really dark.
I know who you're talking about.
Oh my god. Anyway, the lyrics to the song, it'll come to me, but the lyrics are essentially about like abuse and running away from a really fucked up relationship, but it's a very beautiful melody. So it was a bar mitzvah, and the mother wanted this song sung to her son. What? But like she didn't realize that the lyrics were like about all these terrible things. So we actually rewrote the lyrics along the lines of like something very generic and like, we love you, and it's great, and like we're celebrating you coming into age. Noticed. I don't even think they did. I think that's how clueless they were about.
You know, so
music.
many people don't listen to lyrics, which is something that really blows my mind.
I never listen to lyrics. I can't even hear them.
For me, it's totally make or break. If there's if there's an annoying lyric, it
like
totally
a really bad lyric
to the whole song. And if there's an amazing lyric, it will make me love a song that's otherwise not
Because
that
of
great.
You. That was a song.
How does that one go?
Because of you. It's like I never stand too close to the sidewalk because of you. I'm alone and scared.
Jesus.
Anyway, but I think I'm kind of in between with lyrics. I think I don't think it's make or break for me, but I think I hear melody first. I hear melody first, and then I hear production, and then I hear lyrics. And I think for me, a great lyric will completely sell me on the song, and a lame lyric will kind of make me cringe. But if it's a great melody, I'll tend to like enjoy the song, but I'll be less comfortable being like, I love this song.
Or like for me, like for example, like Joanna Newsom, it's like really great, but the lyrics just make it like it's way more than music at that point. It becomes something totally like transcendent. Like I'm like, well, you know, like these could be written down and I'd be impressed. And I mean, that for me is like a big. But normally I don't care.
Hey, this is Caroline from Chairlift. I'm here with Grimes and with Alexis from Sleigh Bells. Grimes' record came out today. So we're celebrating listening to tracks from the record interspersed with songs that inspired Claire and that just inspire us in general.
That was Joanna Newsom, Cosmia, one of my favorite songs. And yes.
I have a funny Joanna Newsom story. So when I was 20, I still couldn't get into all ages shows. She was playing a show in New Haven, and I went to see her with my little sister who was like 16 at the time, and we baked her an apple pie. And we sat with this like still warm apple pie on our lap through the whole show. And all the people around us were staring at it the whole time. And after the show was over, yeah, probably did. After the show was over, we went to the dressing room and we said, we have a pie for Joanna Newsom. We were standing outside and there was like a whole chain of commands. He was like, these girls have a pie for you. And we finally caught a glimpse of her in the dressing room. We were both sort of hyperventilating, getting so excited that we were about to hand her this pie. And then I think like her sound guy took it and was like, oh, thanks. And I watched him go off with it with some of the other guys that were helping out that night. Our hearts were just broken. Like, no. We also made a pie for the fire furnaces, and they themselves took it, and we saw them eat it. So
how many pies did you make?
Just those two.
Just those two.
Yeah.
I wish I got more baked goods on tour from fans.
No, but they could be. I do get baked goods, but we're not allowed to eat them because they could be poisonous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I know.
That's probably why Joanna Newsom didn't eat hers. The fire furnaces, no discretion.
Should we play some Nicole stuff?
Sure. What's the new single?
All her songs are kind of singles. I really just hate.
Oh, Nicole, right. I'm thinking we've gone from Eleanor to Nicole. Yeah, so tell me about Nicole, because you're touring with her right now.
Yeah, James actually just found her music on SoundCloud randomly.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, I listened to it and I was like, no, this is too good. Definitely $1 million major label project. Like, nope, like definitely fake. And then when we like found her, I was like, I was like definitely team of songwriters,
Right.
And then when we like actually like hit her up and talked to her, and she's just like some random girl in the middle of nowhere, this totally like Daniel Johnston-esque savant with like 6 or 7 albums, and just like
really,
she's written 3 albums since I've met her.
Wow.
And they're all, and it's just like 100% good material, and it's like I can't even listen to it without crying. It's like disturbingly good, and I just like don't know how she's not like the biggest artist to walk the planet.
So you contacted her and she came on tour.
Yeah,
I love that.
You're listening to SiriusXMU. This is Caroline from Chairlift. I'm here with Grimes for her takeover and with Alexis from Sleigh Bells.
I hate the idea of people thinking that they have to have opening acts
that are
like
worse.
Right. Like I love the idea of playing
like when
with a
they make you
band
when you're opening, they make you be quieter. Like you're only allowed to be like
you can't use all the lights.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Yeah, it's so like cruel.
No, and that's why I love co-headlining shows too. Like getting to play with an artist that's you're so inspired by, and there's nothing like watching somebody on stage and feeling that like, holy shit, I better step it up.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember what the first support tour you ever did was as an opening act?
Yes.
What was it?
it was kind of a split between Major Lazer and then Yay Sayer. So it was definitely like there were a lot of Major Lazer fans that were just like scratching their head, being like, "What, a guitar? What's that?" You know. And no, I'm not insulting them, but you know, it was like you're coming as a DJ set, and it's very different, and so. But I have to say, like Wes and that whole team was really great to us, and then Yay Sayer was incredible because different fan base, but those guys just really set a great example for how to tour and how to treat people, and they treated us very well. Other than the fact that they just had so much gear on stage that there would be times where we were like plugging in our pedals, literally like in front of the drum kit with an inch to spare.
But those are big stages. That must have been really like like a big moment for you guys to play those huge audiences.
It was great. It was phenomenal, and I think the opening crowds were pretty kind to us because at that time we really had no idea what we were doing. I mean, we were playing off of an iPod that would frequently stop working, and there was a lot of like, you know, I just look back at that and I'm like, wow, I think we were a bit out of our element, but it was good. It was
a lot of opening acts are though. It's your first time in a big room.
Claire, who was your first?
Licky Lee.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was a very chill audience. They definitely were not haters.
That's really cool.
What was yours?
Ours was Ariel Pink, which I was obsessed with Ariel, like his music at the time, not the person.
Right.
And I think it was like our mutual booking agent put us on the tour together, and it became very clear very fast that they did not want us as an opening act, and they pretty much ignored us and teased me every night. So we had to share a green room, and
biggest dick. Not to be a hater.
They were not very nice to us, I will say.
There's no excuse for that. Sorry, Ariel. There's no excuse.
And I used to actually leave the venues and go down the street and around the corner and try to find a quiet alley where I could go warm up my voice, because Ariel would tease me if I did it in the venue. He'd start like imitating me and making fun of me.
You're so much better than me at singing.
And then at the very last night of the show, he pulled me aside and he's like, "Hey, I'm sorry for teasing you and you warm up. It's actually that I'm trying to learn what you're doing, because I feel like I need to warm up my voice too, and I want to figure out how to do it, and I feel like you know what to do, and so I'm sorry for teasing you. That's just my way of trying to learn." I was like, all right, bro.
Hey, this is Grimes, and everything I'm on SiriusXMU. We're doing a takeover because my record's out today, and these are a bunch of songs that me and Caroline and Alexis chose to play.
Claire, what track on here required the most intense vocal performance from you in the studio?
Kill V Maim, I think.
Kill V Maim?
Yeah.
And what was the easiest?
Probably the track called Easily. That's why I don't like it.
Can we listen to it?
No.
Before we listen, can I just say that one of the things I love about your new stuff, okay, so is it the pre-chorus of, can you sing?
Which
trying to get you to
give me a song.
Of Flesh Without Blood.
Oh yeah.
So what is it? I never see the light I saw in.
Okay,
that when you hit that C, like the way you use your voice there, that like cry and that warmth, I was so excited by, because I think a lot of the stuff that I've heard you do, at least, I mean live, I feel like you really like you go to a place vocally, but use a lot of your, a lot of falsetto and head voice, and so to hear you with that mid range of just like,
that song was actually really hard because I have a lot of trouble singing low. Like it's like
so good.
It's really like that I'm worried that I'll never be able to play it live. Like we keep practicing and I'm just like, oh, I can't hit the notes, they're too like low.
Yeah. Well, then I heard what's on your website. I don't know what's on.
Oh yeah, Laughing and Not Being Normal.
Yeah, and then like you're in the stratosphere on that. So
it's also not possible to play live.
Can we hear that one?
Laughing and Not Being Normal?
Yeah.
Let's play that. I'm Grimes. This is one of my all-time favorite songs in the whole world, Aenema by Tool. Caroline is fist pumping, so presumably she likes it too. Hey, this is Grimes here on SiriusXMU with my friends Caroline and Alexis, and we're talking. I feel like Mindless is a really underrated band.
I feel like if it came out now, it would actually been bigger than it would have been.
I mean, I think a lot of stuff like anything like in that whole realm, like My Chem, like all the emo stuff, it's actually incredibly technically proficient and like super impressive. And like when I listen to like Mindless Self-Indulgence, I'm like, the engineering here is fucking crazy, and the one guy does it all. Like
Really?
Jimmy Urine, yeah, he does everything. Like, and he like produces all the tracks and everything. And it's just like especially after like trying to work with guitars and beats, I'm like getting that like clarity and like aggression. It's like really, and it's just like no, stopping, no, stopping, like that kind of stuff. It's like really,
you have to build that kind of thing into the composition too. You can't. I mean, no matter how much mixing you do and how much you scoop stuff with EQs, like you have to write, knowing how the parts fit together.
Yeah,
leaving space.
But that type of guitar work, chugging guitar, the precision of it, it seems so simple. But especially when I watch Derek play those parts, I mean, just the control and like the forearm,
it's hard.
Power that it takes is like it's exhausting looking. Are you doing that yet?
A little practice.
I don't play guitar, so I'm just fly on the wall here.
Yeah. So Claire, tell us about Scream, and then kind of beyond working with Aristophanes. I was just curious because I saw that you had a collaboration with Janelle Monáe that I haven't heard, and I love her. And like, what was it like working with these women who do what they do so well and kind of bringing them into your work?
Well, I think I kind of went to Aristophanes' world. You know, whatever, the S with the apostrophe. I don't know how to say that, but you know, when you're pluralizing someone's name ends with the. But again, like my friend just found it on SoundCloud, and I was just like, it's very rare that I hear something and I'm just like, I've just never heard this. Like straight up, I've just never heard anything that sounds like this. It's like it was incredibly distinct to me from the first second I heard any of her music. I was like, this sounds like just so chilling and experimental, and but also pop. Like, she's a great vocalist. Like, she can just deliver. Like, she's like, her timing and her like the expression in her voice, it's so crazy. It's just like, she's just such a, like, when I got the takes that she sent, like most of that track was like of Scream is like one take.
I was gonna ask you about that because it sounds like it's a one take.
It's pretty much,
and it's so expressive, and it sounds like she's just right on the mic.
Like, there's kind of like two takes because there's a few parts where she's doing like overdub stuff, but it's pretty much just like, I was like, Jesus Christ, like, you know, and just the lyrics are, when I actually got the translation, it was like so good. But
are you gonna release the translation?
Yeah, I already did.
Okay. Oh, you did? Oh shit. Okay.
It's quite insane.
Okay, cool.
Wow.
And what?
So how does that translate live?
I just do like a way worse version with like a Pushkin poem that I used to do, like a kind of screamo version of live, like over her parts.
Cool.
It's not as impressive as if she was there.
Do you think she'll come out?
Yeah, no, she's coming from Japan, and I think New York show actually.
Yeah, I was blown away by the performance of that last night when you guys closed with Scream, because you know, so many of the songs are in this really like shimmering palette, and it's sort of easy to sort of get into that world. And then when you guys dropped this, my husband and I looked at each other like mouths agape, like yes, more of this. Like, this is what we want. Yeah. And he's a big fan of industrial music, so that one really spoke to him. And we were actually laughing and saying that it reminded us of that band Kitty, but in like the best way possible.
I mean, when I was like 8 or 9, or like 11.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But which isn't to say that the song at all sounds like it. Was more just that sort of screaming that I think has been absent for a while. Like, I think like really pretty, really produced vocals have sort of become the norm, and to hear something that like abrasive was really refreshing. Hi, this is Caroline from Chairlift. I'm here with Alexis from Sleigh Bells and the one and only Grimes, who's rolling out a record. Rolling out her record today. Is that you screaming on the record? Or cool? How was that? What was that moment like, tracking that?
Oh, I mean, well, I started screaming. Basically, I used to get really enraged in the live show, and so I would just start screaming in the live show, and then it just like entered into my sonic. It's causing me to lose my high end, but it's a sacrifice.
Okay, so I was gonna ask you about that because I've had to do, well, not had to, like, we do a lot of screaming on those records, and it was when I started doing that live, I was just destroying my voice, and then I realized there's kind of a way to like warm up your voice and scream properly.
Yeah, and you can also do the backwards.
Yeah, like if you just like pull it all the way up to like the top of your head and let it come out. And
you know when you relax, you know when you, I don't know if I can do it right now, but you know when you relax your body and you're like,
yeah,
like, that's not bad for you.
That's screeching.
No, yeah.
That's different. What you were doing last night sounded like a full-on throated scream.
That's the bad scream. That's the one you're not supposed to.
So you're doing that, okay?
It's hard, like, because you get into such a state live when you're doing it. It's hard to check yourself and be like,
Well, when the sound, if the sound was really great, you could probably do it. But like
you were saying last night,
when you have sound issues, you're just like, well, I can't. You know, because like, the only thing you can hear is like if you like push it, and then it's like,
apparently those black metal guys, like the singers who just screech the entire song, apparently it's not actually as loud. I mean, this is just what I heard, but it's not actually as loud as it sounds. That's just the mic is really close and they're actually doing a screech instead of a full-throated scream.
Well, and we had a distortion only during that song because like a screech, like you can do the screechy thing through a distortion and then it sounds more like a guttural kind of scream, and that's like, it's a bit easier to handle, and it's way easier in the ears, like when, because the nice, obviously vocals sound better through distortion.
Yeah.
Cool. In your other collaboration, did you get to dance with Janelle Monáe?
No, I didn't get to dance, but thank God, because I would have been put to shame.
What was it? Which track did you do with her?
It's called Venus Fly.
Shall we listen to it?
Sure. This is sorry, Alexis is laughing and I can't. Okay, don't look at Alexis. Grimes on SiriusXMU with the lovely Caroline from Chairlift and Alexis from Sleigh Bell. Sorry.
There's a lot of laughing. This is good.
Yeah,
This is so fun. We don't get to hang out as much as we should.
We only really get to hang out at like professional engagements. It's quite sad.
But it speaks well of our jobs, I guess.
Definitely. So
this is work. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm a big Janelle Monáe fan, and I would like to hear about that. And then speaking of dancing, I also would like to talk, Carolyn, about your dances
I like
in
talking to
ch-ching,
Oh, there's a good story
because that blew my mind.
And how
I was like trying to like do it after I was watching the video, and you obviously can't see what I'm doing, but I'm trying to do the hand motions. So yeah, let's talk about that.
Janelle Monáe first.
It's actually a really embarrassing story. I sent her a painting as like I admire you, and then so they were like, oh, do you guys want to make a song? And which was like, I didn't expect that she would want to make a song. I just wanted to send her a painting because I don't know. It feels like something Oscar Wilde would do, just like the old times, like people would send.
I admire you.
Yeah. No, I just like, I don't know. I'm really into that lately.
Derek is talking about Joanna Newsom. Derek sent
Hi.
Paul Thomas Anderson, who
we were so good. We sent it to Joanna Newsom.
Yeah, I know. But he sent Paul Thomas Anderson a guitar.
Ooh,
Yeah, 'cause he was like, I love your work, and like, here's a guitar. Like,
that's
like,
really
This
cool.
expresses like my love for you. So anyway,
That's like
I love that
it
idea of,
feels
like,
classic. It feels like a classic thing to do.
Yeah. So you sent her a painting, and So did you guys work in the studio together?
Yeah, I
Or
went
was
to
it remote?
her crazy Wonderland.
Ah,
Have you been there?
No, but I've heard all these
It's
stories.
nuts. It's like I walked in the door and there's like 1,000 clocks, and I was like, oh, nice clocks. And she's like, thanks, we're time travelers. And I was like, whoa. I was like, trippy vibes already. It's pretty trippy in there. And they have these crazy like computers that they built from scratch and like all this, like it's like definitely like the zone.
Did you guys see that documentary that came out last year about Jodorowsky's Dune, the film that never happened?
Fuck that shit.
What do you
As
mean,
the
fuck
number
that
one
shit?
Dune fan, he didn't read the book. He says it in the documentary.
Oh, well, I'm actually,
against
this
it.
is ultimately an anecdote about Dali. Although we can go back to that. So did you see that documentary though?
I got like a bit through it,
And then you threw the TV against the wall.
No, I'm like the Dune fan number one. Like I'm really serious about it. So like I just like had some issues. Although I really do think the casting of Dali would have been.
It would have been amazing
because he was the emperor, right?
I think that's
yeah,
right.
That would have been good.
So there was a scene in the documentary where they were talking about how Jodorowsky was trying to cast, or essentially courting Dali to be in the movie. And he ends up finally after working on this idea for a year and finally getting in touch with Dali, he ends up at a dinner with him, and he's sort of given a challenge where Dali says, when I go to the beach, I'm always finding clocks in the sand. What do you think about this? And Jodorowsky, without thinking about it for 2 seconds, he goes, oh, that's great, because I'm always losing them.
That's pretty good.
When I'm at the beach, I'm always losing clocks.
I guess that's a pretty cool story. Sorry, I won't be a dick.
But I love the idea of an artist like Janelle Monáe being so just complete.
Yeah,
like, you know, like her aesthetic is
the dancing,
I marvel at it.
The vocals,
it's so comprehensive. It's just like wow, and there's she's obviously not being disingenuous. Like you walk into her world, and that's her world. And I just
I feel like she's actually weirder in a way than you would think.
Right.
Like I mean, not that she doesn't seem weird, but and by weird I mean in a good way. But like it's almost like even more crazy.
Hey, this is Caroline from Chairlift. I'm here with Grimes and with Alexis from Sleigh Bells. Grimes' record came out today. So we're celebrating, listening to tracks from the record, interspersed with songs that inspired Claire and that just inspire us in general.
I know that you have a song on your record called California, and I think I think obviously like
Grimes is groaning.
I think it's interesting that you have I've read that, the chairlift record is really so rooted in New York, and I live here, and while our music personally has never been directly inspired by New York, it's just such an essential part of who we are. And
I feel like your music is so not New York, so not.
Yeah, no, it's
in a good way, in like the best way.
Right. Yeah, I think I've always said that we can make music anywhere.
It's like a cartoon
and that's
music.
True. Yeah, it's kind of exists like
Powerpuff Girls.
But we have been doing a lot of recording in California, so I've been spending more time in California. But I'm just interested in knowing, like, is your song California, is it an ode to California, or is it?
It's kind of like, it's actually like a hate track for Pitchfork. Not for California, for like the music industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
As existing.
Yeah, but I mean mostly just like the indie blogs, excluding the nice people like Gorilla vs. Bear and stuff. Obviously there's people who are great and actually care about indie music.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm just very tired of the Grimes is so sad. Grimes is protesting and ranting and having a terrible time. Like, she's so insecure, like, narrative. It's just, like, it's actually really destructive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to be, like, constantly trying to, make it seem that I'm, like, oh, everything's out of my control and, I scrapped and it's, like, even, without fact-checking, making it that, like, saying that Go is my first single. I didn't produce that song. I would never put out an album that I didn't produce.
Right.
Like, to take that away from me and still... I can't get away from it. All the press wrote about it. Headlines, no one fact-checked, no one will amend. And it's like, you just fucked my narrative. You just fucked, like, all years of work that I've done. Like, I'm trying to, like, go out there, and especially to, like, the, like, white male Pitchfork audience be like, women can produce, and you just took that away. Like, and you're just, like, too immature to take it down. It's like, ugh. Anyway, it's just the number one. It's like, I'm like, you're not a force for good. You're a force for, like, something really bad. And anyway, so California's kind of straight up.
Let's listen to it.
Hey, this is Grimes, and everything I'm on SiriusXMU. We're doing a takeover because my record's out today, and these are a bunch of songs that me and Caroline and Alexis chose to play.
How do you feel about speaking out about how you've been sort of I guess like reframed or like miscontextualized? Do you feel like it's a distraction from the music for people, or do you feel like it's necessary? And did you read that interview with Bjork that Pitchfork did, where she was talking about how over and over and over again, male producers that did 10% of a song were given 100% of credit, and how she sort of stayed silent about it because she didn't want to distract people from the actual product, but at a certain point she felt like she needed to speak out. As an artist, at this point in your career, where do you feel like your role is there?
I mean, I feel like I don't think there's any, like ethical imperative or whatever, but it just really sucks to like, I literally have a friend who's a ghost producer for like a super famous producer. Like, this guy doesn't even make his shit. Like, my friend makes his shit for him. And it's like, I do everything. And I know a lot of girls. Yeah. And I know a lot of girls, and it's just like, you can't even get, people don't even, every time I go to a photo shoot or walk in a room, who produced your music? It's like, Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
And it's like, a lot of male producers aren't even producing. They're like, sitting home smoking weed while there's like a team of like young men making, and it's like, as a producer, like, to be held up against like a team of like people as a single person, and as a person who can never ask, how do I do this, you have to do it trial and error. You can't actually, you go in a studio and ask questions, and it's like, well, let's finish this track at my house, and it's like, it's such a,
no, I just want to learn. I want to empower myself with.
Also, the term production can mean so many different things.
That's true. And it's changed so much over the last decade.
It's true. I mean, some people think of production as making music, making an instrumental, like recording parts.
Right.
For some people, that's not production. That's arranging, or that's composition, or that's performing,
or engineering even.
Yeah. For some people, just being in the room and voicing an opinion is production.
Absolutely.
And I think
I hate that shit.
I think so too. I think maybe in the 50s that was a valid, a valid thing. When there were so many little electronic things to look after, the engineer could not actually produce.
Yeah, well, when you're like literally doing reverb by going into a hallway.
Yeah, you need
it's like there's a lot.
But yeah, I think in order to talk about these things clearly, we need to talk about process and have a better understanding of what production means for one artist versus another.
True.
Right.
True.
This next song is Raw Raw Replica by Bikini.
Couple friends, Carolyn and Grimes is taking over SiriusXMU today because her record is out, and we're playing tracks from her record. So you definitely want to listen, and we're also playing great songs that we all love, and we'll be talking about them and eating lots of treats. You and I were talking about this a little bit and saying that I've been actively recording music and in that headspace where, every song that you record is your baby and you love it, or you at least have a love affair with it,
or,
right?
Or some kind of intense emotional,
right? Exactly,
Pavlovian.
And
whatever.
so you record all these songs, and then normally what I find is that if you have some time and some space to live with it and to distance yourself from it, then you come back to it, and the true test is if you still love it,
yeah.
right? So I'm just curious, like in the creative process of this record, you don't have to get into like how many songs you kept and how many songs you scratched, but like, are there songs now that you listen to and you're like, oh, why did I put that on the record? Or are you still like, are you in love with everything that you have? Or like, what was that process like of choosing which song was going to be on the record and which song wasn't?
I mean, I kind of did like, what you said, like just make hundreds of songs, chill for a month, and then choose the best ones, and then like slam them out at the end, kind of thing.
Right.
I mean, just some songs you have songs where I can hear my vocals. I'm like, they make me super uncomfortable. So it's not that I like hate the songs. I always like say hate, and then it's Grimes hates things, blah blah. But
that's actually the title of this show.
Yeah, Grimes hates it. Yeah,
even treats.
Fuck treats. Fuck sex.
Is that one word?
Okay, so which is your favorite song on the record right now? Like, which would you like to play? Which do you feel like, for whatever reason, excites you or you love, you want to share?
I think honestly, I keep coming back to Kill V Maim, but it's the last song I made, so it's the fresh one right now.
Okay.
So that's why I keep.
Did we play that already?
Yeah.
Roll it back.
But what's your favorite song out of Straight Care? Of yours? I'm kind of curious what you guys' favorite personal songs are.
Like
of your music.
Of my well, that's a challenging question because we're not at the point yet where we can say.
Oh, you can't say.
Yeah, like,
but it's a new song.
Yes, I mean, I think that's the weird thing about making a record is that you suddenly look at all your other records. At least for me, I have moments where you look at all the other records and they just don't feel quite like at the level of what you're making. But so I kind of looking at the other records and being like, nothing matters but this new record. But I don't know. I guess I think for me, so much about what I love about our music is seeing how the fans respond to it in the live context. So I think you mentioned AB Machines, before, and that song is so simple and so strange, but
it's kind of like the evil cheerleaders in that whatever Nirvana song. It's like if they made a song, that's what I feel like AB Machines sounds like to me.
It's and there's an excitement that I now am able to associate that song with, of just like hearing that bass drop live and seeing people have fun to it and just kind of mindlessly sing along to it. So I'd have to go with that one.
With me, the one that I'm the most excited about right now is, I mean, we can't play it just yet. It's coming out.
You're both, I know, we're like making
it say anything. It's coming out soon, but it's called Crying in Public.
Cool. I like that.
And in a way, it's I think one of the most like basic songs that I've ever written. But it's about crying in public, and it's very simple and straightforward and sentimental, and it sort of feels like distilled chairlift, like none of the idiosyncrasies of any particular song, but just like the soul of a lot of the stuff we've done before is there, and sort of like just distilled and simplified. But yeah, I would say that's it. So I'll look out for that one.
Cool. I have actually a question about. Do you speak Japanese?
I don't. I did when I was 3.
I thought you did.
No, both my parents speak it.
Cool.
I got left out of that one.
Yeah, my parents speak French. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, teach me this.
I think that's so one of the greatest gifts you can give to a child if you're bilingual is to raise them.
We're not shitting on our parents.
No, that's so common that you don't. I think that's changing. Like parents now are like recognize that being multilingual is such an asset, but in the past, like my mom was not taught Italian, and it was because they really wanted their children to assimilate, come to the culture, and not
similar,
Yeah, I lived in Japan when I was a kid, and I went to a school that was in English because my parents knew we were coming back here, and they didn't want me to be behind. And I have the most amazing memories of that school, and I sort of actually channeled some of that. We all wore plaid uniforms, and we were taught by nuns. And I remember the school that I went to was right on the edge of a property where the older Japanese girls were going to school. I think it was like a high school, and they really liked me. So during like recess, I'd go over to the fence, and the Japanese high school girls would give me treats or give me candies. And I think I just looked up to them so much. And I thought they were absolutely the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And I think that made sort of a lasting impression on me. And doing the song in Japanese felt like.
This is Grimes on SiriusXMU. Yes, I didn't screw it up that time. And I'm here with Caroline from Chairlift and Alexis from Sleigh Bells. And we just played the Japanese version of I Belong in Your Arms by Chairlift. My record's out today, and these are a bunch of songs that me and Caroline and Alexis chose. The song Christine, have you heard it?
No, I have not.
It's so good. Oh my gosh, she's so good. Sorry.
Is she?
She's French.
Okay.
It's like it just vibes like when there's that intangible thing and it just vibes. I feel like that one. I guess all the Christine and the Queen songs kind of do that, but this one song in particular, and the choreography in the video is like incredible, and the camera work is like really incredible. Like they're doing all this. I won't try to.
Let's listen to it.
Yeah, let's listen to it.
To SiriusXMU, this is Caroline from Chairlift. I'm here with Grimes for her takeover, and with Alexis from Sleigh Bells.
Okay, so that was Azalea Banks, heavy metal and reflective, and now we're gonna play Reality by Grimes. But should we talk about Azalea Banks first, or should we move on?
I would like to talk about Azalea Banks. I love Azalea Banks, and I was just curious if either of you ladies have had the privilege of meeting her.
No, I wish.
With her or Caroline.
I met her really briefly, like 2 months ago, at like a private back room party in Manhattan.
Ooh.
And it was some friends of mine from Young Turks, the British label, that were throwing like a little after party for Jamie XX after he played the TV show that I sang with him on. And it was like 3 a.m, and everyone was starting to clear out, and then all of a sudden Azalea Banks was standing in front of me, and she's much shorter than you think she'll be, but I feel like that's the case with so many female performers that just seem larger than life.
I always think everyone's super tall. See, I thought you were super tall.
I'm not tall.
You seem tall in my mind. Actually, you both seem really tall.
We're all mentally tall. That's the thing. Mentally short, mentally tall. But she seemed so casual, and that was not something I expected. And I just kind of quickly said, "Hey, I'm gonna geek out for a second. My name's Caroline. I'm obsessed with your music." And she's like, "Oh, cool." And that was about our conversation.
I love it when like people are just super confident about their music. When you're like, "I love your music," and they're like, "Thanks. Yeah, it's good."
I know. And don't feel the need to be like mildly self-deprecating.
Yeah.
That's how I met my husband, actually.
Why?
I fanned out to him. I ended up in a conversation with him for like 2 hours before I realized that he was the same person whose music I was a fan of. And then
What's his music?
He just makes music under his name, Ian Drennan. But it's all electronic instrumental music.
Cool.
And then we talked about synthesizers for 2 hours. And now we're married.
Aww.
Congratulations, by the way.
Story.
Thank you.
Oh, now we're going to play my song, Reality. Sorry.
I just wanted to say something about Reality, because this is something that I love about you, Claire, is that like I don't know what the conversation was in your mind or with other people about releasing that song or what, but I love the fact that like it just came out and was like very inconspicuous, and then suddenly there's just like this beautiful, shimmery, great song, but that's also got like a lot of like, and that's what I think I texted you about Flesh Without Blood, of just like there's like a lot of pain to that song and like melancholy, which is one of my favorite things when artists are able to capture that like pop and gloss, but also have that like
sad dance music is the like
so
George Michael and all.
Oh my gosh, and absolutely, and so Reality has that.
Hello, this is Grimes, Caroline, and Alexis from Chairlift, Sleigh Bells, and Grimes, and we are at SiriusXMU, and now we're gonna play an old version of a song called World Princess, I guess part 1, and then another version called World Princess part 2 that's actually completely. I have to say this many times, but my album is out today. Also, this is Grimes talking. And after this, I think we're gonna play Smashing Pumpkins. Can we please play Zero? Yeah.
Yes.
Art song.
I had a Smashing Pumpkins poster over my bed, I guess from the age of like 8 until 15, and I would lie in bed at night. It was one of those posters. I had like blacklight posters, and I had that poster, and you know, like you look at a poster and it looks like the eyes follow you, and so like Billy Corgan's eyes would just like follow me, and I'd like crying.
He does sort of seem like the Mona Lisa in ways. Like he's got that vibe. That like, is he bitchy or happy?
But so intriguing. So anyway,
That sounds like a really good trivia game, like bitchy or happy.
Whoa, I'd actually be down to play that.
Okay.
Like you see a portrait and then you're like, are they bitchy or are they happy?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, and then we're after this, Pepper by Butthole Surfers, also a fabulous song.
Can we talk about Butterfly? No, just because when I saw that song title, I thought of like "You're my butterfly, sugar."
Yeah.
Who was that?
It's Mariah.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
No,
I know what you're talking
You're
about.
my butterfly.
Crazy. No, not
Yeah,
Crazy Town. Crazy Town. Crazy Town.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's right.
Remember?
Yeah.
1995.
Yeah.
That was very.
I was actually just
That was
I
on
got an
the
argument yesterday
TRL.
because people don't like that song, and some people were like, "Ew, Crazy Town." I was like, "Are you kidding? That song is great."
No, that's a great song.
Yeah.
So, does Butterfly have any relation to that song?
Kind of. I mean, it's just I've noticed that, like, okay, so like Nabokov, Dolly Parton, Mariah Carey, like so many people have a butterfly symbol. It's like their symbol. So,
Oh, okay. So let's talk about Dolly Parton.
ooh, yeah.
Because she's phenomenal, and I know you love her. Have you gotten a chance to meet her?
No, have you?
No,
Oh.
I haven't. But
I thought we were so
I almost
jealous.
went to Dolly World when we
Dollywood.
Dollywood, not Dollywood, Dollywood when we were driving cross country. It's in Tennessee.
Yeah,
Right?
Smoky Mountain.
Yeah, it's in rural Tennessee. But so tell me about why. Like, did you discover young Dolly Parton,
Yes.
and then is that when you fell in love with her? Or did you have a connection with her as a more mature artist?
Well, she's my grandfather's favorite musician, so he's always like, "Be more like Dolly, be more like Dolly," or whatever.
You're like, my breasts will never be that large.
No, he's actually like, "You need sexier outfits." I'm like, "Thanks, Grandpa."
Well, if you can be mentally tall, you can be mentally sexy.
Maybe.
Mentally busty.
Mentally busty. Oh, wow, that seems hard. But I mean, okay, the thing I love about Dolly though is that she's so dark and so intense, but she's so fucking grateful. Like she's always so stoked to be there, and even when the worst stuff is happening, or she's like even going to something that's really intense, it's like I feel like as musicians, like we kind of have the best job in the world. Like pretty much everyone wishes they could make a living doing what they love. And I think that's just with Dolly, it just like shines through. It's like so present and obvious. And I just think that's like almost more than any other artist. It's just like it's the main thing that strikes you about Dolly is she's so happy and grateful to be there. And I think that's like really. I just like I always keep that in mind. Like because I'll be like hate this, and I'm like, what the hell? Like be so happy that you're here. It's like really important.
I think I completely agree with you because I came to music full time after teaching in the South Bronx, and I loved that job. It was incredible, but I was busting my ass, waking up, commuting, like a lot of reasons to get super burnt out on a job like that. And then when I started to experience like musicians being cranky on a tour bus, I'm like,
it's like okay. Also, you get to be in a tour bus. If you've ever had a tour and not when you're in like a minivan or smaller,
right?
Like I did a tour in a Geo Tracker once.
Right.
And the rain came in through the ceiling was broken and we would just be rained on and like it's you know what I mean, like you're on a tour bus, like my God, be stoked, you have an actual bed.
I think there's a lot of crankiness in the music industry, and I think that's unfortunate. And I mean somebody like Dolly Parton just seems like she just radiates like positivity, and you know obviously coming from poverty and coming from a place where no one ever expected her to achieve what she achieved, and so she's always seemed super grounded. And
Wagner, she was on his show,
right?
And she was blowing up, and she was like, "I'm gonna leave your show," and he got really mad. And I think he like retained like a certain amount of money every time she got paid. He got paid for the next like 3 years. Something really unfair.
It was a variety show.
Yeah, and so she wrote. And okay, first of all, I'm like, wow, you're so like forgiving to like. Like I have people who like still get a cut of my business who I have nothing to do with and I really don't like them. And it's like, I would never write a song. Like I will always love you for them. But like, it's like, and then, Elvis wanted to cut the song and he was like, well, if I'm going to cut the song, like something like I want the publishing or whatever. And she was just like, no, and just totally stood her ground and like new artist, female writer, just like pretty ballsy.
Yeah. And did he do the song eventually?
No, he didn't. No. And then, but Whitney Houston did.
And somebody named Whitney Houston did it. And it was like a little bit of a hit. It was no big deal.
And, this is the Pug Song by Nicole, Dollanganger. Grimes, I'm here at SiriusXMU. So we're also going to play the Beastie Boys because the Beastie Boys are just really cool. I also appreciate that it's rare that a band just gets better and better and better and better and better and like cool. Like, they just got like more feminist and more chill and their music just got more weird and experimental and awesome. It's just like, normally there's sort of like some kind of falling off, but they just kind of just went and we like them. Oh, and here they are, the Beastie Boys.
This is Caroline from Chairlift. I'm here with Grimes and with Alexis from Sleigh Bells. Grimes' record came out today. So we're celebrating, listening to tracks from the record, interspersed with songs that inspired Claire, and that just inspire us in general.
Definitely want to play one of the KLF song. So the guy who mixed my records by extent is he worked on like the first KLF stuff, and KLF they're one of my biggest influences. If you're a Gaga fan, maybe you would consider them one of the first art pop bands, because they're like these crazy dudes who were just on acid all the time and made this crazy music, and then it went straight to #1, and then they made like millions of dollars, and then made even more crazy stuff, and then burnt $2 million, which I don't necessarily condone, but it's definitely interesting. It's an art idea. And
what was their big hit?
Their first one is the Doctor Who song. We should play the Doctor Who song, but then the other one is the Justified Ancients of Moo Moo, or Ancients and Justified, with Tammy Wynette. And then they wrote this thing called The Manual, which is like this, it's like,
oh yeah,
and it's so good. It's just certain things, just like don't drink coffee in the studio, just drink tea to like keep your caffeine level at a consistent point. Stuff like that. It's all it's actually, I read the manual, and it like changed how I make music. It just made it so much easier. And like but they're also insane, like clearly insane, but they're great. Anyway, their music is also totally crazy. But this is the Justified Ancients of Moo Moo by the KLF.
Hi, this is Alexis from Sleigh Bells. I'm here with Carolyn from Chairlift and with Claire, aka Grimes. And Grimes brought us here, and we're so excited to be joining her and talking about her new record, which is out today.
Okay, so this next song we're gonna play is Tick by the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. And when I was in like high school, like me and all my friends super into like, obviously like Tool and all that stuff, and I'd never actually heard like a female fronted like alternative band. And then when I was probably like 15, someone gave me a tape with Tick on it, and I didn't know who the band was, and it was like 3 years later before I even heard that it was the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. And I was like, it just was this huge inspiration in my life, and I just didn't even know what band it was, and it was just this, Last song, I really want to play this Animal Collective song called In the Flowers. I feel like we really play any Animal Collective song, but I feel like, obviously amongst hipsters, they're not underrated, but I do think Animal Collective are pretty underrated. Like, for me, at least as a musician, they're one of my biggest influences. Just my live setup right now is just basically the Animal Collective live setup. And I don't know, I think it's just like, there's a simplicity to it, and like the looping and the 404s, like, the first time I heard Animal Collective, I was just like, not, oh, I can do this, but I heard how they did it. Like, I could hear it in the music, and it was just this incredible moment of clarity for me, and it just like totally, like, it's like one of the main reasons I started making music, or that I was even able to. So I just like always feel indebted to Animal Collective, so I like to play a song by them. And I think this song is like, the song just makes me really sad in a good way. So
Happy sad.
yeah, it just reminds me of like one of the most intense nostalgic it's a song I was listening to when I started making music and stuff. So I just want to say thank you to Caroline and Alexis, Chairlift to Sleigh Bells, because I definitely would not be able to do this by myself. And yeah, your record's coming out, Caroline. Why don't you guys talk about what your
January?
Yeah, January.
Yeah, we're gonna drop another song in a couple weeks.
Yes.
And a new music video for that one too. For me, this record is actually like potentially the tenderest record, but the songs we're releasing first are the most aggressive. So people probably won't know what the hell I'm talking about in interviews. They'll be like, "What?" But yeah, we're about to put out another really like up tempo one.
Cool.
That's so exciting. Yeah, we are working on new music. Kind of what we were saying before, like the biggest gift of making this record has been time and space, and being able to just kind of step away from it, and not rush to put it out. So we will have a record out next year for sure, and yeah, so you'll be hearing new music from us, and I think it's we're really proud of it. We've been working super hard on it, so yeah, that's where we're at.
Thanks so much for having us. This was super fun.
Thank you. And I just want to say, Claire, I think I'm so excited and happy and proud of you, and I think you're such a shining example of like being a badass musician, and so it's just great company, and Carolyn the same thing.
I feel the same way.